Greetings, my name is James Campbell. Today we continue with part 2 of Why is Faith Important to God? You can check out our blog at theunseenbook.com and get a feel for what this series is about. I'm going to go fast. Please post your questions on the blog. Last time we spoke about two laws, faith and unbelief. Remember the New Testament definition of faith, which is the Greek word pistis, is the act of believing God's truth. Unbelief, or apistis, is the act of believing lies. Unbelief is not believing nothing, it's believing something that isn't true. Both the law of faith and the law of unbelief are true laws. They're opposites but not equals, because the law of faith swallows up unbelief. But both are as sure as gravity. When you believe God's truth in your heart, you live it. When you believe lies, you live them also. And that causes confusion. To understand these two laws, we must understand words translated sin and faith, as well as something called a lie. The Greek word translated sin is hamartia, which can be more accurately rendered error. It is not only doing the wrong thing, but believing the wrong thing. That's what Paul usually means when he uses the word hamartia. Believing things that are not true, misbeliefs, which are the cause of all wrongdoing. This is a critical satanic strategy. It's Satan's second biggest secret. He needs for us to see sin as only doing or thinking evil, when in fact it actually refers to believing error, which means hamartia refers to much more than just what you do or think. It also refers to what you believe that is not true. Hell doesn't want you to believe in Jesus, but if you do, it has a last line of offense. It's a hidden stronghold. Do you know what Satan's biggest secret is? Well, both Jesus and Paul talked about it, but Satan has managed to keep it hidden. Jesus, speaking of Satan in John 8:44, said, "When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own." The Greek doesn't say a lie. Check an interlinear Bible that shows the Greek next to the English meaning. A lie is actually the lie. To pseudos. To is the article the. It's talking about a specific lie, not just any lie. Likewise in Romans 1:25, Paul said, "Who changed the truth of God into a lie." Once again, the Greek says the lie, not just a lie. The lie is the most sinister evil ever conceived, because its belief not only caused Adam and Eve to declare independence, but it contains a self-defense mechanism to hide the fact that we still believe it today. It is the most insidious stronghold, invisible even to believers, and from which Satan shoots a continual barrage of deadly fire. The lie has crippled the church and rendered it perplexed and mostly ineffective against the powers of darkness. The lie started right here. Because they kept listening, the dots mean they're listening, and they didn't call it what it was, a lie, they eventually believed it. That lie created a cycle from which mankind cannot escape. They believed it, and now it's a cycle. This misbelief makes mankind feel responsible for things that only a God can do. It says that we are independent and separate from God, that we can't depend on Him. We're responsible, at the least, to do the right thing in order to obtain His blessing. What a lie. We've missed how God planned to take care of us, to provide for us, and now we're too busy trying to take control of our worlds to let go and let God be who He wants to be in us. The lie's self-defense mechanism prevents us from seeing that the source of every problem is a wrong belief. And that if the belief is corrected, so too is the problem. This applies to everything in life. There is no exception. The lie was not about eating that fruit, though Satan did lie about that. It was that Adam and Eve could become like a God, knowing what was right or wrong, independent of God. Today, mankind believes that safety, success, salvation, and everything we need depends to some degree on us. We are God's. We have to be, because Satan said that God is not honest. So we can't fully trust him for every need of our lives. And mankind has doubted God ever since. But as Christians, we're supposed to trust God for everything. So how do we do that? How do we trust God? It's hard to trust when you're trusting something else and don't realize it. When we believe a lie, we are trusting that lie instead of God's truth in that matter. The trouble is, deep down, we feel we can't trust God with everything. The lie has convinced us that God will only go just so far. And since we don't know how far he'll go, we're not sure ever how far we can trust him. So, what lies are each of us believing? Only God knows, and it's the Holy Spirit's good pleasure to cause us to see them. It was when the first couple chose to believe that lie that the world became corrupt. And mankind ceased being God-centered and became self-centered. And Adam and Eve had been created human beings, but they became human doings. Being was no longer important because it couldn't get you anything. Now all that matters is what we do. You see, deep inside, people think like gods because gods are known by what they do. The lie was the beginning of mankind's performance orientation. Before that, they were just happy living. They knew that God had all the answers and was there for them. God fully accepted them with no strings attached. For Christians, believing the lie can be very subtle because we know we are not independent from God. So instead, we may become partners. We do our part, God does his part. Lies show up in thousands of ways, most obviously in the desire or need to control. But you can also feel the lie at work in your emotions. Fear, anxiety, worry, depression, they're all from the lie. Why are there so many problems that God could solve, but doesn't? The lie keeps telling us that what our flesh, our senses, tell us is reality. And we believe it. So we remain blind to what God has done. Once you understand the lie, you will see it everywhere, even in yourself, because it has infected everything, including Christian faith. In his second epistle, chapter 1, verse 4, Peter said that the world is corrupt by means of lust. That is, Adam's and Eve's desire to be independent and in control. He is actually describing how the lie infected humanity. How could they have wanted or lusted for independence? God had created them in his image and likeness. He had created them to look and act like God. You see, they kept listening to that liar. And once they believed the liar, the power of that misbelief made them desire independence from God. What they did makes no sense. But in the big picture, lies never do. Today, we don't know how to live truly dependent on God. We would like to, but what if he isn't telling the truth and doesn't come through? The lie has infected our belief systems. God created this world full of treasures and secrets and wealth, which he wanted mankind to discover and utilize, but in an adventure with him. Picture a treasure hunt where parents hide the treasures and then go find the treasures with their children. Have you ever noticed that children don't stay small for very long? God knew Adam and Eve would mature quickly, but he would have made them ready. He would have taught them to rule this world just like he does. with the same love and care that God has for us. Instead, Adam and Eve chose to go their own way. And the price is a world that is now corrupt down to the very DNA of our cells. The moment Adam and Eve believed the lie was true, it created that evil want to in them. The lie is the source of mankind's performance orientation, in which all of us are judged and valued by what we do, how we contribute, how we look, what we own, instead of being judged by the fact that our Creator, the greatest being alive, loves us unconditionally. As a result, regardless of what the problems are, our solution is always to figure out what to do. We lie awake at night thinking, trying to solve problems which may not exist any place but in our minds. Our lives become an endless cycle of trying to figure out what to do, trying this, trying that. So what's the answer? Guess what? You already know it. The problem is not what you don't know. The problem is what you know that isn't true, which confuses you about the truth you do know. It is misbeliefs that cause our confusion. We need the Holy Spirit to expose our misbeliefs and help us believe His truth. In part 3, we'll learn God's simple answer for escaping the effects of the lie and experiencing the reality for which we were created.